Hello. Local authorities are in place to serve their residents through council tax contributions that the public pay, and not to serve the interests of global corporations. This short video will highlight declarations of emergency and why local councils feel the need to constantly declare them. I will offer some encouragement to look into these declarations of emergency by using the Climate Emergency Declaration. In April 2024, a group of dedicated Heritage Party members got together and was offered a 2-hour platform on the UK column to take a deep dive into this subject. Please see the link in the comments below. And a special thank you to Sarah Farrell, one of our members, who helped me put together the leaflet, which we'll see at the end of this video. So how does it work? The United Nations set out their 17 Sustainable Development Goals, one being take climate action. Governments all around the world take this information and produce acts such as the Climate Change Act. This then sets out legislation so local councils can declare climate emergencies, and in doing this gain funding from central government to carry out their mitigation plans against the supposed emergency. So once a declaration is in place, the consensus is created that there is actually an emergency. How will they implement the measures to finish their goal? They create contracts with private stakeholders which can carry out the green jobs that will help implement the policy and ongoing agenda. So how do they get public consent? Well, they partner up with local climate action networks who look as if they're doing a good thing to save the planet, which enforce the public perception that there is actually an issue. Surely there's a for and against for this. Yes, there's various template groups and parties out there calling for reform, write to your MP, waving banners. But what are they actually doing to oppose this? The manifesto which David Curtin written in 2020 states, "We need to abandon the unnecessary commitment to net zero, carbon dioxide emissions, and ensure that we produce enough energy to keep the lights on and power our industry." Please see this at heritageparty.org. I will provide it in the links. And please watch the rest of this video to give you some encouragement on what maybe you could do locally.
Questions and answers session for local residents. And I have received notification that Sean Turner wishes to ask a question of the Cabinet Member for Climate Transition and Nature Recovery.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to the new council in serving your residents. Considering we have new council members, and when the climate emergency motion was previously considered on the 10th of April 2019, no recorded vote was taken. Question: how will Maidstone Borough Council express the support from its new council members and transparency towards its residents on upholding the biodiversity and climate change targets, which include long-term measures placed on the public and private travel, homes, and the heightening cost of council tax contributions in supporting the decarbonisation of the estate and various funding of stakeholder and private partner green initiatives?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Turner. Following the climate emergency motion in 2019, the Council consulted widely with residents and stakeholders and agreed a biodiversity and climate change strategy and action plan in 2020.
This was widely praised nationally for its content, clarity and plain English. Progress against the plan has been reported regularly, and the next annual update is in preparation for the forthcoming Policy and Advisory Committee and then to Cabinet in September. This Cabinet has created a new portfolio specifically focused on nature recovery and climate transition, showing its importance to the new Council administration, and I am currently evaluating the existing details within the 2020 Strategy and Action Plan with officers of NBC. Action has already begun to progress our ambitions. For example, in July the Cabinet will be taking decisions on a project for the decarbonisation of Maidstone House and solar energy investment projects on council property. I note your comment on transparency to residents. NBC publishes data on the website of our own carbon footprint annually, and we will continue to report our progress against the action plan annually. The leader will be setting out our administration's priorities later this evening, which should provide reassurance in terms of our future plans for nature recovery and climate change, all of which will form part of our new strategic plan, which is scheduled to be put to Council for approval in February 2025.
Arising from your original question. Thank
I
you.
certainly do. Question. Now 5 years on since the climate emergency declaration, what current, unbiased and preferably unsupported by the United Nations based evidence can this Council provide to reassure us, the people, that there is an actual climate emergency and biodiversity crisis caused by human beings?
Thank you, Mr. Turner. We do discuss that with the officers of NBC. I personally am a chartered engineer who deals with data in all of my career, and I understand the data sets that are being provided for national and international status do tend to show that things are changing rapidly.